Stakeholders and host communities give reactions to the long-awaited Petroleum Industry Act, ask the federal government to hit the ground running and marry concept with actuality. President Muhammadu Buhari expresses strong conviction that the tide of insecurity is turning and normalcy will be restored to troubled spots in the nation. The political musical chairs continue in Anambra State as INEC releases a new list of substituted governorship and deputy governorship candidates. Also on political update today, embattled PDP national chairman in a closed-door meeting with a former president. We have details of this in our lineup. I'm Fisayo Ogunfuyi. Welcome. The crucial meeting of the National Security Council has ended with a strong conviction by the Buhari presidency that normalcy will be fully restored in the nation's security situation before its tenure lapses. The National Security Advisor Babagana Munguno, who briefed newsmen after the meeting, said the president was unequivocal in his submission to the council members that he is not prepared to hand over a security-challenged nation to his successor.
The high-level engagement was summoned by President Muhammadu Buhari to critically analyze the reported mass surrender of terrorists in the Northeast Theater of Operations and its implications to the nation's body politic.
Large numbers of people are surrendering in the Northeast as a consequence of the relentless efforts of the armed forces, intelligence and security agencies. This is very, very evident. We've never had such large numbers of people defecting from the other side back to the Nigerian side. The president is quite happy that there's been tremendous success, especially with the advent of the new service chiefs and the Inspector General of Police, and he's also made it very, very clear that he's not ready to exit government as a failure. He's not going to tolerate that. He's made changes and is ready to make further changes if he's not satisfied.
The meeting, attended by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, several relevant ministers, service chiefs, and heads of other security services, also discussed plans for the surrendering terrorists. The participants also noted a significant drop in the cases of kidnapping and banditry in parts of the country. Far-reaching measures that cannot be made public were adopted towards achieving lasting solutions.
In the context of the 21st century, you can't deal with these emerging crises in a cut-and-dried manner. We have to use everything at our disposal, all the elements of national power, including the population. The wider community needs to work with the security agencies to deal with these problems. People should not cover for those who they have identified as unscrupulous, undesirable people.
We have been encouraged to do more from what we've been doing. And we also assure Mr. President that we will put more efforts, more sacrifice to ensure that we are above and ahead of crime and criminality.
During the discussions, which lasted about 5 hours, key participants made submissions on various strategic and operational issues. President Buhari used the opportunity to express worry over the reported widespread hunger in the land.
The president is not oblivious to the pains of the people, and is working with the vice president and other members of council. Is going to employ the relevant ministries, departments and agencies of government to address this issue. As far as it's concerned, it's also an emergency situation. The people should not be left to wallow in hunger and in despair.
The National Security Council meeting also touched on the recent killing of travelers in Jos Plateau State, with President Muhammadu Buhari expressing confidence in efforts by Governor Simon Lalong towards maintaining peace and security in the state.
Former President Chief Olusegun Obasanjo has asked the nation's political elite to prioritize the security and economy of the nation rather than focus on the 2023 elections. The former president said this in Abuja, Ogun State, while playing host to the national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, Prince Uche Secondus.
National Chairman of the People's Democratic Party, Prince Uche Secondus, accompanied by the party's National Secretary, Senator Umaru Tsauri, and some members of the National Working Committee, met with former President Olusegun Obasanjo. Chief Olusegun Obasanjo believes that while the polls are equally important, the major focus should be on the challenges facing the country and impeding its growth and development. The elder statesman decries that the country has not attained its destined position in the Committee of States and describes the current situation of the nation as not too friendly but not irredeemable, and hopeful that the country will be great again with justice and equity.
2023 is important. The 2023 is not as important as being able to package Nigeria as a wholesome peace.
PDP National Chairman Prince Uche Secondus commends the leadership quality of the former president, who is one of the founding fathers of the main opposition party. Amidst the recent disagreements within the party, the national chairman is confident that the PDP is emerging stronger ahead of the forthcoming elections.
Yes, we belong to a political party, but if we don't have a country, where will be the democracy? You can only have a peaceful country where democracy can strive.
Members of the PDP in Ogun State also met with the party's national chairman.
The Independent Electoral Commission, INEC, has published a list of substituted governorship candidates for the November 6th Anambra governorship election. The list substituted candidates signed by the INEC National Commissioner for Information, Festus Okoye, indicates that 7 governorship and 11 deputy governorship candidates were substituted by 11 out of the 18 parties fielding candidates for the election. Similarly, INEC was served with the judgment of the Court of Appeal Kano Division, which set aside the judgment of the High Court of Jigawa State on the leadership of the All Progressive Grand Alliance, that is ABGA, and the nomination of its candidates for Anambra governorship election. Following the judgment, the name of Chukwuma Umeji has been removed and replaced by Professor Chukwuma Soludo, while the APC also got a new deputy governorship candidate, Chukwuemeka Stephen Okafor. The final list of candidates will be published on the 7th of October 2021 as provided for in the timetable and schedule of activities for the election. But also reaching us from Owerri is that the High Court of Owerri has struck out Victor Oye and Chukwuma Soludo's application for stay of execution on the judgment declaring Chukwuma Umeoji as APGA governorship candidate and Jude Okeke as APGA chairman. Bright Bocho was at the High Court of Owerri, Imo State, and brought us the report.
The ruling delivered by Justice Victoria Isiguzo is sequel to an application for stay of execution and leave of appeal filed by Chief Victor Oye, wherein the court granted him leave to appeal but refused to grant the order for stay of execution of an earlier judgment on the APGA chairmanship tussle, but rather reaffirmed its earlier ruling. The court holds that INEC cannot evade compliance with the orders of the court, declaring Umoji APGA governorship candidate in the forthcoming Anambra election, and therefore has a legal obligation to continue to comply with the subsisting judgment of the court delivered on 28 July 2021, which declared Chukwuma Umoji candidate of the party.
Jude Okeke remains in charge of APGA, pending when the appellate courts will review the judgment of the lower court. That is the purport of that judgment, and that INEC is bound to accept any list or forwarding letters from Chief Jude Okeke, who is presently in charge of APGA.
It is only a higher court that can stay its judgment. We just want the Honorable Justice here to make a pronouncement towards that stay execution application.
It will be recalled that the Court of Appeal Kano Division had on the 10th of August 2021 set aside another judgment of the Jigawa High Court, which nullified the chairmanship of Jude Okeke as national chairman of APGA and upheld the governorship congress conducted by him. In Owerri, Bright Ebuchu, NTA News.
Joining us now via Zoom is the National Commissioner for Information, INEC, Mr. Festus Okoye. Thank you very much for joining us. All right, you saw those two reports. Even keen watchers like us, not to talk of just members of the public who are, just looking on, they seem a bit confused. Judgments and judgments. What is on the current list of INEC, and how do we go forward?
Well, as far as this particular mission is concerned, we are a constitutional body and we are a legal body. And by the provisions of Section 287 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, INEC is under a constitutional and legal obligation to enforce decisions, orders, and judgments of superior courts of record. In relation to the Anambra governorship election, we have a judgment of the Court of Appeal, which is a superior court to the Federal High Court and the High Court of the Federal Capital Territory. And that particular judgment has made it very, very clear and has made a final pronouncement in relation to the Court of Appeal on the issue of the leadership challenge in the All Progressive Grand Alliance, and also in relation to the issue of who is the governorship candidate of the party. And by the hierarchy, of course, the Court of Appeal is a superior court to the Federal High Court and to the High Court and to the High Court of the Federal Capital Territory. And so the Commission has complied with the superior judgment of the Court of Appeal, and that's where we are as of today.
All right, and so, this new, judgments that the messengers brought to the office this week, well, you are still staying with where you are at the moment.
Well, there's no doubt whatsoever. You see, there is what we call substantive and territorial or geographical jurisdiction of the various courts. If you take a very close look at Section 285 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria relating to the definition of a pre-election matter, you will see that a pre-election matter must be domiciled and the course of action must accrue from the state or within the state where the party primaries took place. And the only individuals or the only persons with the local standard to file pre-election matters are aspirants who aspired in a particular party primary, or a political party that is complaining about the issues relating to the guidelines or regulations of the commission. So if you are not an aspirant in a party primary, you don't have the local standard to activate the machinery of the court in relation to a pre-election matter. So the base of all these issues revolves around the judgment of the High Court of Jigawa State that sat in Benin Kudu. And the Court of Appeal has given a decision and made a determination relating to the base of that particular issue. So we have complied with the judgment of the Court of Appeal, and that is where we are.
All right, just before I let you go, how prepared is the arbiter, the umpire at the moment, as far as the election are concerned? Of course, we are seeing lists, replacement, withdrawals, and all that, but in terms of actual election, what is the level of preparedness?
We are preparing, and as you know, we are now doing our continuous voter registration exercise, because Anambra State has an election on the 6th day of November. In the next few days, the Commission will deploy additional staff and additional equipment for purposes of voters registration in Anambra, because we are going to stop at a particular point, print the permanent voters register of the new registrants, and then integrate the supplementary voters register with the permanent voters register and hand over to the political parties preparatory to the election. And so we are preparing assiduously for this election, and we are leaving no stone unturned.
All right, I would understood that. Of course, the last time we now have polling centers. You removed, when you standardized everything. When I saw the list, you even removed some centers from shrines and all that. There were no protests, I guess.
No, there were no protests. In fact, the new polling units that came into force, we come into force for the first time during the Anambra governorship elections. And so it is in the Anambra governorship elections that these new polling units that have been taken to safe places and taken to public places will come into force. So we are excited that Anambra will be the first state to experience the joy of having new polling units and having new polling units closer to the residence of people and closer to the offices.
All right, thank you very much. We've been speaking with the National Commissioner Information, the Independent National Electoral Commission, Mr. Festus Okoye. Thank you for joining us as usual. We appreciate it. All right, the president of Senate, Ahmed Lawan, says the best legacy the ruling APC will keep for Nigerians beyond 2023 is the sustenance of its massive infrastructure and social programs. He was speaking during an audience he granted the APC Youth Lobby Committee.
The All Progressives Congress has commenced consultations and lobby to stakeholders on ways and measures to strengthen the ruling party ahead of 2023. The youth wing of the party is strategic to this movement, and therefore a visit to President of the Senate becomes inevitable. The purpose of the meeting is to seek the support of the National Assembly in increasing the involvement of youth in the party and the establishment of a progressive institute.
The next task for this party is to make itself attractive to other young people so that the party itself can win elections without very popular candidates.
I believe that this country cannot make any sustainable progress without the youth of Nigeria getting the kind of empowerment through education, empowerment through creating opportunities, not necessarily government jobs, that will continue to produce all these massive infrastructures that no administration in Nigeria has ever invested so much in doing.
The group also submitted the communique reached at the APC Youth Progressives Conference. Senator Lawan also granted audience to a delegation from Ghana's Parliamentary Service Board, led by its chairman, Johnson Nketia, accompanied by the chairman, National Assembly Service Commission, Ahmed Kadi Amshi, who are in Nigeria on a study visit.
I always want to commend Nigeria for maintaining an environmentally healthy capital.
But this exchange of visits really help in making countries within our region, this sub-region, share so many valuable experiences.
The Ghanaian parliament is restructuring its parliamentary service.
For our second conversation, we have Honorable Dada Adamu, who is an APC youth and is a member. Of course, you are also a special assistant to the APC Caretaker Committee Senate Rep. Looking at youths, you know, we've been talking about this as an ongoing conversation. 2023, everybody's talking 2023, but even in terms of where we are now, are youths getting more involved in politics, and are they given, you know, the chance to thrive?
First of all, thank you for having me here once again. It's always a pleasure to be around you, and I have been here before, and it's been an excellent, engagement. Young people across the globe are the drivers of whatever it is they found themselves in, and Nigeria is no different. And so therefore, it is important that we, within the constitution, the constituencies of young people in Nigeria are given the right attention and provided with the right platform to be able to aspire whatever,
A follow-up question would be that the ones that have been given opportunities, have they done enough for us to give more in terms of what, the status quo as it is?
Yes. For me, particularly, personal opinion, I think they have done a great job. I have seen few young people that are currently in the President Muhammadu Buhari's government that have given me hope, and giving a lot of young people hope that if young people are given the opportunity to participate in governance, they are going to do more. I'll give you an example. There is a young lady who is currently sitting in the board of APC Caretaker Committee as a representative of the women wing, Honorable Stella Kotete. She is approximately 35, 36, thereabout. And she is a member of Nexim Bank, controlling billions, managing such resources that I'd never seen done by any young man or a woman. She's doing excellently well. And it is because of her performance in that gave the APC, the, what do you call it, to bring her on board as a member of the caretaker committee. And we also have, when you go to the Rural Electrification Commission, we have young people like Dr. Ohinare, and many other people in that institution.
Okay, if we give pass mark into that, because time is not really after, if we give them pass mark in terms of even actively participating, actual voting, and also taking ownership of the processes. We just spoke with the INEC Commissioner for Information now, and the continuous voters registration exercise is on. Are you galvanizing the youth in this direction so that there will be a strong voice come in this election?
In fact, earlier, Barrister Ismail had been going around with the National Lobbying Group to reach out to critical stakeholders to get young people involved. And we are also taking
not on Facebook. Let me not mention that. Not on social media, but actual participation.
Social media is a tool that young people are going to be used to be recruited. We cannot in any way put social media aside. It is a key aspect.
I'm saying on election day, for instance. Not necessarily saying this is where the vote is going, but actually being there.
Being there, yes, we are working on that. I tell you one thing, 51.11% of the consolidated registered voters in Nigeria are between 18 and 35, currently, as it is right now. And if you remember the last election, and that is in about 84 million consolidated registered voters that we have as out of 2019. 51 of them are young people.
51%.
51.11% are young people between the age of 18 and 35. You're not even talking about between 35 and 55 or 45. So we are working on making sure that the continual voter registration is on, and is that the young people are also stimulated to actually participate.
All right, there will be time for this discussion, I'm sure. I'll just watch you now so that we'll do it. Continue on another day, youth participation. We've been talking about women as well. There's a time in Nigeria we say we have youth, we have young youths, we have fairly young youths, and we have mature youths. That's how we'll run the program today. Time is not our friend. There's a story on the Institute of Legislative Studies, and having lent their voice to some of the thorny issues, and in the recently passed electoral amendment bill. We bring all that also in our subsequent programs. My name is Fisayo Gunfuyi. Thanking you for staying tuned and watching the Nigerian Television Authority, Africa's finest and largest, where we give you the very best of news, reviews, previews, and interviews. And always pausing to remind you to play your politics for the greater good. Bye-bye now.